So here's some interesting news. So apparently, Subadaya is going to stream a cast press conference internationally. So you're going to be able to see it. It's actually happening on the 5th. So if you haven't already checked it out, by the time this video comes out on our YouTube channel, it'll already be out on YouTube. However, when this is up on our Podbean, it should not be out yet. It's June 5th at 5 p.m. in Japan, though. So that's very important to note as well. But it's going to be live streamed. However, the sad thing is it will not be English subtitled. But I don't know if they're going to try to have maybe the open captions on there so that you can maybe subtitle it yourself, but no English subtitles. However, they do have an international logo for the series, which again titles it Ultraman Z, which is interesting. It's going to premiere in Japan, by the way, June 20th at 9 a.m., specifically on TV Tokyo. But what I'm curious about, very, very curious about, mind you, is this them, even though it's not subtitled? Yes, it is live, to be fair, so you can't really, unless they pre-recorded it, which for a conference like this, they're not necessarily calling it a press conference. It just makes me think of the previous press conferences that we usually have for Super Sentai. They're calling this a cast presentation. I'm assuming this is a similar setup, although of course because of social distancing this might be from home. So what I was saying was, initially I was going off the idea that you can't subtitle something that's live, but perhaps this is pre-recorded, so if so, I do think maybe it would have been best if they subtitled this. However, they don't know if any company is going to pick this up, so I assume they're putting this out like, hey, companies, if you want to get Ultraman Z, we're putting it out internationally, so it's being seen internationally. But of course, and I'm not saying that Crunchyroll wouldn't end up trying to pick it up or something like that, but it is a little odd only due to the fact that it not having any subtitles is just like, yeah, it's nice. I'm not saying that no one's gonna watch it. I'm not saying that I'm not gonna peruse, but I don't know what the heck's going on. So it's a good step in the right direction. However, I do think that this would have been the perfect time, assuming this is a pre-recorded event because of social distancing, to actually put out subtitles. But either way, though, I would imagine, like many other Ultraman shows, this will be picked up by Crunchyroll, or if not, hopefully within a few years from its airing in Japan, it will end up being picked up by Mill Creek. Mill Creek is going faster than the speed of light when it comes to releasing Ultraman shows on Blu-ray. So I will admit, even if I can't see this through Crunchyroll or something like that, still it'll be interesting if I could end up picking it up on Blu-ray within the next few years. Either way, let's actually talk about it. If you don't know what it's about, there is a brief summary. Apparently, Ultraman Z follows the young apprentice of Ultraman Zero, who is celebrating his 10th anniversary this year. Wow. I remember, even though I still haven't seen the movie, I don't know if it's still in print on Blu-ray with the English subtitles, but I remember when Ultraman Mega Monster Battle, it was Ultra bad. All the names, but it was such an interesting. I remember the trailer at the time looking gorgeous, and it was something that I had not really seen in tokusatsu, especially when it came to the special effects. I'm usually not a fan. I'm usually much a bigger fan of practical effects than CG, but just seeing the way it was implemented in that film, I still send people that trailer just to say, look at this. This is gorgeously done. And then that Dinah reveal at the end of the trailer, like I still remember it. Just Ore ga aiteda. Just it's ingrained in here. It's one of my earliest memories of tokusatsu. So to think that it's 10 years old, or at least the character of Ultraman Zero is 10 years old, oh boy. Either way, though, when talking about by the way, I say Ultraman Z, it's actually Ultraman Z, so remember that. The hot-blooded Ultraman Z, of course he's freaking hot-blooded. Who would, when it's a young apprentice, if he is not hot-blooded, then what are you even doing? What is the show even? The hot-blooded Ultraman Z will team up with a human member of the anti-monster robot force, Storage, I want to see what that acronym is about, to fight against the threat of the mysterious mind-controlling alien life form, Cerebro, which I like that name so much. That's a nice name. Either way, so yeah, I'm super interested in seeing where this show is going to go. Again, hoping that we get it in some way streamable. I don't believe R&B was streamed. Am I right in saying that, everybody? Well, I'll find out right now. Ultraman RB. I don't believe that was streamed, and that came out just last year. Am I correct? Oh no, it was 2018. Uh-oh. How I'm getting old. So yeah, it seems like it wasn't, and neither was the follow-up series, the actual newer one, which was Ultraman: New Generation Chronicle. Those do not seem to have been subtitled on the old Crunchyroll or any other legal streaming service. But again, with how fast Mill Creek is going with some of these, I don't believe, and also the fact that for many years certain Ultra shows are clip shows, which I assume will not end up being on being released. Nothing against them, it's just that I made the joke last time. I don't know if they're going to go the Ultra Kids route with releasing those, but still though, I mean, again, they're yes, things are going on in the world that will definitely affect the release schedule for some of these Ultraman shows, but on DVD and Blu-ray. But still, the fact that they went for Orb and Geed, I think really was a very nice touch for them to show, like, hey, listen, we're not just sticking with Heisei here, and with Shawa here. We're gonna go fairly recent when we need to. So yeah, it would be very interesting to see where they end up going from here with some of their Ultraman releases. I talked about one last time, which was to me, was one that I think was a bit more obscure, but in a good way. So I'm very happy to see them releasing some stuff that isn't all just, hey, this is Ultraman. It was Ultra Q related. So I talked about that. So if you're watching on our YouTube channel, you might find a little button somewhere to click on it, or down in the script box down below. But either way, so I'm very interested in seeing where this show is going to go. Again, if we can see it, or if we just get to see it, on disc. And I should also mention, I was missing Taiga. I talked about Taiga on this very show last season. I was like, I know we've talked about Taiga before, but it was the name was escaping me. But yeah, we haven't seen Taiga either, so I don't know what's going to be going on there. And of course, I should mention this as well, just randomly briefly about Taiga. The movie's also been put on an indefinite suspension for obvious reasons. It's supposed to be coming out March 6th, and it didn't. And we'll see when that can come out. I mean, I just talked about Toei, or really TV Tokyo, resuming airing Kamen Rider and Super Sentai. So does that open the door in July or in August for people to start going to theaters, or are they going to try to maybe kind of sell the theatrical experience to a televised audience, the same way that some American companies are trying to do with their films? Will that end up being the case in Japan, and then it ends up being shown on TV? And I don't know. So just a lot to talk about in this story, but specifically back to Ultraman Z. If anyone wants to actually report on that, and who knows Japanese, please do, and we'll talk about it in this episode. We'll slide it in there some point this week if we can. So either way, tell me your thoughts about all of this stuff. Yes, even Taiga as well, down in the comment section down below.